me paint the picture for you just before we start talking about it, in case you're unaware of exactly how bonkers it was at the weekend. Now, Forest could have been given 3 penalties in their controversial 2-0 defeat away at Everton, but the VAR referee, Stuart Atwell, decided not to send the referee to the monitor for any of the 3 decisions. After the game, Forest put out a tweet saying the following: 3 extremely poor decisions, 3 penalties not given, which we simply cannot accept. We warned the PGMOL that the VAR is a Luton fan before the game, but they didn't change him. Our patience has been tested multiple times. NFFC will now consider its options. The manager, Nuno Espirito Santo, was asked about the club's statement after the game.
I was aware of that complaint. It's a formal complaint. Every club is entitled to do it if they feel that they are not comfortable. The PGMO decide the other way. If Stuart Atwell is not a fan of Luton, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter in the end of the day. That doesn't matter. He's there to do his job. In starting with Anthony Taylor today, he did a bad job. And VAR did a bad job because the decisions are bad. I'm telling you, after we lose a game, everybody will say, okay, look at the manager, look, he's getting excuses. No, it's not an excuse, it's the reality.
It's interesting hearing from the manager there. I've got lots of questions for you. The first question I have for you is Gary Neville and Jamie Carroll quite scathing about the fact that Forest had issued this statement via the medium of social media or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And I understand that. It's sort of, a fall from grace is where they're coming in. One-time European giant winner, of course, etc. And this is how they react to that. What's your view on the fact that Forest have come out on social media and said exactly what they've said?
I think when it comes to social media, I think that's just a norm now. I think the days of them doing it the proper way, the proper channels, we're ever evolving as a society. So social media now has become such a big part of social media, of society, that a lot of people now use social media, whether it be Instagram or X or Facebook, wherever it may be, to vent their frustrations, whether it be a statement about anything. So I think that's almost going to become the norm. The timing of the tweet and the statement was a bit, it's almost like maybe we spoke about sometimes when decisions go against managers, and we've said, should you really allow the manager to go straight in after a big decision like that, maybe hold them back a bit, because they're obviously going to get themselves in trouble. In that scenario, maybe someone should have just said, listen, let's just hold fire for a bit before we start. I agree with them when it comes to the decisions. I think all 3 were penalties. 2 you can argue against. The last one's a stonewaller for me, right? That's my opinion.
I agree with you. 100% with that.
I think it's a stonewaller. So I think maybe just hold back, and maybe if you want to put a statement out there, you start going, okay, listen, we're discussing the PGMLs, their decisions, we should have had penalties, blah, blah. But when you start throwing the integrity of someone who's, do you know what I mean, the Atwell with the whole Luton fan, I think that's where you start to, it's below the belt, and I think you cross the line.
Well, the PGMO, they do have considerations when allocating a match official. One is the team they support, the performance, the last time they officiated specific teams, and the importance of a fixture as well. But that key one there, the team they support, okay? Do you think that could come into it? Do you think if you are either refereeing a game or you're at Stockley Park doing the VAR and you have a vested interest in a team that's playing, be it you support them, you support the opposition, or you support a team that's also battling for relegation, do you think that you should or shouldn't be a part of that game?
I mean, we're getting into such deep waters here, because you look at, for instance, Stuart Atwell apparently is a Luton fan, right? So what benefit would he have from going against Forest? Because
he wanted a draw in that game. Sorry. Luton fans wanted a draw in that game.
I get that, but Everton are down there as well. So Everton 1-0 up. Do you know what I mean? They're winning the game, so it's almost like, well.
But my question is, do you think if you are connected in any way to what that result could do to your own team,
potentially
you should be taken out of that equation?
Potentially, because I was watching something earlier and they were talking about. Because I heard on the ref watches it on Sky this morning,
with Dermot.
And I was listening to that, and they were talking about a form that you've got to fill in. But like, if you're a referee, right, this is bonkers. If you're a referee that supports Birmingham City, right, you cannot referee games, Aston Villa games, which is right, but you can referee West Brom games. They're a bit of rivalry as well.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, what do you do?
What's the point?
What's the point?
Do you think the clubs should be allowed to object? Do you think they should get maybe a day before, 24 hours? These are the people on VAR.
No, because you're going to get scenarios where, okay, if Chelsea and Anthony Taylor don't get on at all, you're going to get some clubs going, well, listen, against us last time, he didn't give us the decision that we thought we deserved. Don't want him. No, I don't think you should be able to do that. I think if you support a team, you cannot manage that team. Or if it is close, like Everton, Liverpool, if you're a Liverpool fan, you shouldn't really manage Everton games, potentially. But I think when you start looking at making clubs go, well, who's in charge? Nah, we don't want him. I don't think they should have the right. Because, as I said, if he's done run by you before, you're just going to go, well, we don't want him because he was crap last time.
Yeah. We are going to take calls on this 03717223344. Just before we do, I'm going to speak to Andrew, a Forest fan, in a sec, before the break. Just before we do, can you try and explain exactly why they got them wrong, those mistakes?
Well, the first one, and this is where it's subject the first one a little bit, because I think it's a foul, but I mean, he goes down and it probably is a foul because he's got there first. Ashley Young's got no idea that his foot's there and he just kicked for it, so it's probably a foul, but he goes down a bit easier. But I can understand the bar that they've set, fair enough. Where they've got themselves in a bit of a mismatch is the whole natural, unnatural. So when you lift your leg to block across, your arm comes up, right? The unnatural position is to defend with your arms behind your back. You just can't do it like that. We've not been taught as kids.
A bit like Wan-Bissaka for the penalty, right?
Exactly. But if you're going to go with a level of consistency, that has to be a penalty, because we've seen penalties be given for the exact same thing. So you have to give it. And the last one, there's no excuse.
So let's take the last one. How have they got that wrong?
See, I think the referee tries to make a gesture like he got the ball. But surely someone at Stockley Park says to him, he didn't get the ball. It was Hudson-Odoi's foot that got the ball. So, do you know what? Just to be on the safe side, we're going to send you to the screen. You go and have a look at it, and then we'll make the decision.
I know that Nottingham Forest have asked for the audio of that game.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll release it? And if they do, what do you think it could reveal?
That they made a big mistake.
Yeah.
Because every single time you watch that, and Stockley Park have got the luxury of watching as many replays as we've got, right? And when you see Ashley Young just fly through the back of Hudson-Odoi, the only way Ashley Young can get to the ball is by going through Hudson-Odoi. Now, the fact they don't give it is just appalling.
It is appalling.
Yeah.
Listen, let's speak to you, the football fan, 03717223344. Andrew's a Forest fan. Hello, Andy.
Hello. Nice to speak to you eventually.
Likewise as well. Thanks, pal. You good? You well?
Well, yeah, as well as you can be after yesterday, yeah.
Okay, what would you like to say?
So, obviously, just wanted to say, basically, there's no doubt over the season we've been on the wrong end of loads of these decisions. And if you look at yesterday, couldn't agree with Darren anymore. The final penalty appeal, the third one, tackle on Hudson-Odoi, was so obviously a penalty. It seemed hard how it went any other way. But I have to then say, like, as a fan of the club, the way that we reacted after the match, particularly with the quick-fire tweet about VAR being a Luton fan, I think we sort of embarrassed ourselves a little bit. And just to go one step further, obviously we've also appointed Mark Clattenburg as well. And I just can't see that things like appointing Mark Clattenburg, making tweets like we did, are going to help us moving forward, to be honest.
Yeah, Mitch, you make a good point. I mean, the tweet, I think if you're going to put a tweet out there, your club's going to put a tweet out there condemning the decisions that you didn't get. I think a lot of people will live with that, because a lot of people who watch football and love football will look at the decisions and go, they've probably got a point. The fact that no one in VAR has picked up on it, but when you start throwing in Stuart Atwell and kind of trying to discredit him, that's where you lost a lot of people. So people that were maybe in your camp and agree with you, the moment you kind of discredit Stuart Atwell because he's a Luton fan, that's where you lose everybody.
Yeah.
Because even Stuart Atwell now, moving forward now, he has actually done nothing wrong. And
you'd like to think he's a professional. You're basically accusing him of cheating.
Right, exactly. So all of a sudden now, that will never leave him. No. Because every single time now that Stuart Atwell gives a bad decision or doesn't do something, people are going to go, see?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? He's been tarnished for doing nothing.
I agree.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.